Okay, all good.
Hi, everyone. It's Linda G. And here is our favorite person every other Sunday is Sterling. Hi, Sterling.
Good. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Linda. Looking lovely and radiant this morning.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Shucks, golly. I just want to say thank you for doing this. I know your show is taking off pretty well, too. He has his
A
own
lot of fun.
YouTube, as a lot of you people know, he has his own YouTube channel.
We're having a lot of fun doing that, and it appears it's providing some help, and that's why we all do this, right? To provide some help.
We help everybody. I do a lot of guest appearances, and I get so many requests sometimes that I'm gonna actually have to calm it down. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
so
I always say you're like the Johnny Carson of the psychics, which is a nice title. It's like, you really are in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Thank you. But he could be mean if he didn't like people. So. Okay, we have our questions. Thank you to your lovely assistant and wife, Linda.
Linda and Daniel. Yep.
And
Again.
thank you to Daniel. Okay, so, okay, here we go. Let me make sure my phone is over here. Okay, here we go. Okay, number one, the UK Conservatives have narrowed down the field to succeed Boris Johnson to Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss. Who will it be?
I get it's the man. His name's Rishi, I think is his first name. I get it's the man because it looks to me like a lot of controversy around the woman. Because I get energy like 45 or like Trump's energy around the woman. So it looks to me like by a narrow margin, I'm just being told looks like it's the man, Rishi.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You heard it here, everybody. President Biden has COVID. Will he be okay?
Absolutely. Says speedy recovery. It's going to go just fine. Yeah.
Okay. The James Webb Telescope was reported to have found artificial lights in Proxima B. Is this just a rumor or true? What's Proxima B?
That's a planet that orbits a dwarf star. What's called a dwarf star. I think it's Proximus B. There absolutely is life out there, and in fact, the military, the government already knows it. But that's a very well-known planet array and a very well-known dwarf star that it orbits. Yep, absolutely, 100%. A lot of ET activity around there. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. May I just tell you a little story? I was watching a UFO show. Here's some of it. But this one particular show, they actually showed a picture of a ship from a Navy vessel, a UFO ship, turn to its side and go straight into the water. And then in Russia, there had some divers that went down below and they encountered 5 or 6 9 feet tall aliens. And they were humanoid, but they had something over their head, probably to breathe, but no oxygen tank, nothing. But they were humanoid in appearance, 9 feet tall. And the dummies grabbed a net and tried to steal one of them. And something happened when they tried that like an explosion or something. And all of them went straight up to the surface. Well, 3 of them died because you can't go that fast up to the surface.
Sure.
They get what is the name of it? The heebie-jeebies or something.
Yeah, I forget the medical term for it. But
yeah, and some of them were hospitalized for a while, but they were so terrorized that that's 9 feet in height. Ooh, and you know what? I don't think they were out to hurt them. I think the fact that they tried to steal one, they did something to get rid of them.
You're referring to what I refer to as the tall Nordics. And so they're Pleiadian of descent, but tall Nordics. And there are many bases under the water all around the world and up in the North Pole and Antarctica. They're all over. So, yeah.
Okay. Because when I heard this, when I watched this, I thought, didn't Sterling mention something about this? So, they saw them with their own eyes. They were 9 feet tall.
And a million, there's millions of sightings worldwide. So, within a few short years here, this will all be very public.
It's all coming out, my friend.
Mhm.
And the one thing they will not allow is for us to send nukes like someplace else up in the sky, in the moon or whatever. They will stop
Yeah,
it.
they're very careful about anything that will annihilate humankind or the Earth, because that
Yes.
creates a lot of other problems in actually other dimensions. Those nuclear explosions create problems in other dimensions as well, which is one of the reasons they're very concerned about it. But
Yeah, they were showing missiles being imploded and no reason why. And it's because there will be a ship there, a UFO
right,
ship, and then
right.
boom.
Exactly. Exactly. I was going to say that in some cases in human history, there have been nuclear explosions. And so the ETs won't get involved in things that are important for humankind lessons or a certain path. So, but, they're certainly standing in the way of any kind of annihilation of Earth. They are.
Oh, wow. That's great. Oh, well, someone said, will Bannon be found guilty? I think we already know the answer to that.
We do. We know the answer to that, and it looks like jail time is coming. And about a year ago, you and I discussed this or more when they said, "Is anybody going to jail or getting indicted?" And I remember I can go back and look at the show, but we said, "Yeah,
Yeah,
Steve Bannon is
I've
actually
always
will
saw
have
him going back in. Yeah.
a lot of legal problems and jail time, and yeah, he will."
Well, he served 1 or 2 years. He can serve up to 2 years.
Looks to me like there's some sort of a negotiated sentence here, believe it or not. I pick it up 6 to 12 months. So something like maybe he's got to be in jail or prison for 6 months and then 6 months with an ankle bracelet or something. There's something going on here with a negotiation. Yeah.
Does he have to agree to testify, or are they even interested?
Yeah, that's where I think all this negotiation is going to come in. They're going to say, well, instead of 2 years, how about 6 months and 6 months with an ankle bracelet, and we'll help you with what you want to know. And yeah, it's a negotiation.
Oh, thank you. The House passed a bill to protect same-sex marriages.
Mhm.
Will the Republicans in the Senate help to vote to codify the bill so that Biden can sign it?
Don't see it passing, unfortunately. I wish it was going to pass, but looks like it's going to get very close. I think they need 10 GOP to cross the line. And it looks like they may get as many as 8, believe it or not. So it looks like
Yeah.
they're getting very close, but can't tip the scales. But that's all going to get better as time goes on here.
Because this is I told everybody, between the women's rights and gay rights, they're messing with the wrong people.
Exactly.
And I just
Yeah.
got some good news. Val Demings is ahead of Marco Rubio.
Oh, great. And I think we always felt Val Demings was going to make it in.
We
always did. Yeah. Yeah.
And she's getting more money too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our level for COVID is high here in Tulsa County, Oklahoma. Some places of employment are going back to mask mandates for employees because of this. Do you see this wave of COVID lasting long, or do you see testing just a short period, or lasting just a short period of time?
Well, this comes up on several shows, but my team has always said that we're in a surge right now, which is a BA.5 surge, and that's going to kind of be with us for the year. And then there's another surge of another variant coming up at the end of this year. So this is for the world. It's for the U.S. and the world. A new vaccine coming the end of this year for the new variant that's coming. And I've always seen that by the time we get out to, kind of summer months of next year, we're going to finally move into an endemic worldwide. So we'll finally get through a number of the variants and we'll have an endemic. And that'll be more of a, like kind of an annual flu shot kind of a thing for people that want it. Yeah.
Are you a little worried about the monkeypox at all?
It looks to me like they're going to have a new vaccine or something coming up here very soon, within 1 to 2 months here. They're going to rocket it through and they'll have a vaccine that will start to take care of this. Okay. So I never saw monkeypox being a worldwide pandemic, always being contained to certain areas of the world. Yeah. This actually comes up on other shows too. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, before my mother and brother passed away, I heard what seems like a man's voice say to me, "Be prepared to mourn your brother and mother." My brother died first in 1977 and my mother died in 1999. Was it a voice of God or something else? It sounded like the same voice each time, and it was a direct statement. There wasn't a softness to his voice, which is what I hear when I hear it's a man that talks to me.
Yeah, and that's your team. And depending on kind of your development stage, so to speak, you'll hear your team, your angels and guides as a unified voice, or may hear them individually, depending on kind of how you're working with them. but that was his team, or the person's team, trying to get them prepared. That's all. So
Okay.
it's a loving message to say, be prepared. Yeah.
Do you remember Christian Nielsen? She was the Secretary of Homeland Security from 2017 to 2019. She was in charge when thousands of children were separated from their parents under the former administration's policies. Will she face any consequences for her role in the trauma that caused to these children and their families?
I think the person that's asking that is considering like legal consequences. And so
Yeah.
I unfortunately don't see that, because what I see is that she's going to hide behind, following the orders of 45.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's going to be a very slippery slope for any legal team to say, following the orders of the president. But it does look like it'll impact any more of a further political career for her.
Okay.
So I don't see the legal impact, but I do see the political impact. Yeah.
The consensus is that using CRISPR technology, there may emerge a new hominid species called Homo sapiens superior. Have you heard of this possibility?
No, yeah, there's actually nothing like that that's on the horizon. And who's ever asked this question, that actually resonates with the Marvel universe, Disney's Marvel universe,
Okay.
and X-Men, and it refers to the X gene that gives you superior power.
Okay.
So no, it makes good Marvel movies, but no, that the CRISPR technology won't be used for that. No.
Okay. Has the Secret Service been corrupted beyond repair? Will the government need to build it completely new?
100%, and they already know it. So
What do you
there's
mean?
already, well, I mean that the Department of Justice and many people in the Biden administration already know that the Secret Service in various areas has already been corrupted. But it was actually easy for them to figure it out, because there were a lot of installed individuals from 45. And so they've tracked the relationships with those individuals. So yeah, it's got a problem. It does.
I saw a handful of people having to leave, either step down or be fired or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
On 3 occasions, I have witnessed people's faces morphing. Ooh. The first was a neighbor who was elderly and had just gotten back from a long trip. Her face jumped out at me, and it was old like he was dying. I knew he was exhausted. The next was a woman I was sitting by, and her face turned into a wooden witch for just a few seconds. The third was a young man whose face was constantly morphing into different strange faces that were contorting and twisted. Can you explain what I am witnessing?
Yeah, that's a phenomenon I've seen before, where people are actually looking into someone's past lives. So
Oh,
there's some sort of a past life resonance there. Now, the only thing that I think maybe is a little different there, but it's maybe not an accurate description. I think she said she saw the woman's face into a wooden
yeah,
face or something.
a wooden witch. It says
Oh,
wooden witch.
oh, got it. So anyway, those are past life. That's a past life resonance.
Okay.
And the individual that was observing this, that means that that individual has a talent in that area. So she actually could perfect that talent and refine
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
Will we ever know exactly what was in the text from the Secret Service? Anything worth knowing about? Any forensic abilities they can bring something up? They deleted it because they were afraid.
Well, here's what's interesting. I've always seen, I see it now, that the majority, almost 80% of those texts are going to be retrieved, but they're going to get retrieved through service providers in the cloud.
Oh,
So the way that those texts moved, the text just didn't move from phone to phone. They went through service providers in the cloud.
okay.
And
All
so
right.
there's going to be some legal process here to release those documents and those texts. So I see majority is going to get released, and it will show a very clear communication, kind of subversive communication pattern among many of the Secret Service. So yeah, and this is all coming out. So it's
Yeah.
coming out.
And you just got done saying that. Yep. It seems as if it seems that as a NATO and EU member, Turkey is awfully chummy with Russia. Do you see anything, do you see them staying in NATO and the EU?
Turkey, yeah, they'll absolutely stay in NATO. But what's interesting is when Putin passes for entertainment purposes only, that Turkey's going to get more relaxed and not going to be so aggressive with their
Okay.
stance in NATO. So they're being egged on, so to speak, by Putin. And when he leaves the planet, that's going to relax. Yeah.
Well, you know, they're the ones that came to the agreement. They helped with the agreement about the grain that Russia
Mhm.
and Ukraine would ship out the grain. They signed the paperwork, and the next day they bombed over where the grain was. So,
Yeah, they got within a certain range of where the grain was, but they
but
didn't
not
hit it.
quite. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the grain shipment, I believe, still got off. They
Oh,
were able to
good.
ship it off. Yeah.
Please ask Spirit if A.G. Garland has a 45 mole high up under his command, making a mess of investigations and is interfering with bringing charges against the criminals holding seats in the Senate and the House.
He does, and there's about six of them, so it's half a dozen. But here's what's interesting. What I get on that is that they've actually baited many of these people inside the DOJ. So, for example, feed them false information, and
To
then
find out.
look to see where the false information comes up. And so now they know for these half a dozen people. Okay, we fed that information to that person, number one, that person, number two, and now we know where the information is, how it's leaking through the system. So they've actually already figured all this out, and this is all going to come out when they bring down the hammer very shortly here. Yeah.
Ooh, I love it. Russia really going to lay claim to the conquered regions of eastern Ukraine? Is this really going to happen?
To some areas, yes. But what I've always seen is that Ukraine is going to get back a lot of the coastal areas, which are
I
important.
always see that. Yep.
Coastal areas. And so there's going to be many areas in eastern Ukraine that are going to be contested, and it's going to be an ongoing battle for many years, but there's going to be a pullback. It's going to look much better for Ukraine, but the coastal areas are very important. They're coming back. Yeah.
Okay. I keep thinking the dark ETs want to take humanity down. Are there advanced ETs interfering with negativity with humanity?
Well, there are, for millions of years, there's reptilians. So probably the reptilians are probably the most aggressive ETs. However,
no feelings.
They're kept in check by a lot of the other there's hundreds of other species of ETs that are keeping them in check. Okay. So it's almost like having a police force that's 1,000 times larger than the population. So yeah, the reptilians are a little aggressive, but they're kept in check.
Okay. The Hells Angels in Satan's Choice motorcycle gangs, a huge gathering, 1,000, in southern Ontario, Canada. Can you tell me how much of a threat these groups will be? The Hells Angels in Satan's Choice motorcycle gangs.
Yeah, Ontario. Which part of Canada was that?
Ontario, Canada.
Yeah. That event, I believe, is already ongoing or may have been completed like this weekend. Okay. But I do see a ruckus and chaos and some rioting and some police interaction. I do see all of that. Whoever asked the question, I'm not sure. There's a continuing factor in Canada with these groups. There is. But if they're asking about this rally, I think it's completed this weekend. But
okay. Okay. When will we have Medicare for all? This was a Biden campaign goal. Has it been forgotten?
No, not forgotten. All these things create are required revenue. And so we're not till we get towards a corporate minimum tax,
okay.
Will the revenues start coming back in the coffer, so to speak. And I've seen this for years now, that this corporate minimum tax is going to come on the scene eventually, is being proposed at 15%, might end up at 10% or 12%. But that'll bring them more money back into the systems that will then enable that. So not forgotten, but there's no money.
Right. Yeah. And then don't forget, things will get easier when the midterms happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are hydrogen battery cells safer than lithium ion cells as batteries in cars? More women are seeking sterilization and some doctors are refusing. Well, there's two questions here.
Yeah, the battery question, I'm not sure goes with the
got nothing to do with hydrogen.
With the batteries, yeah.
Are they safer than the lithium?
No. So hydrogen is actually still quite dangerous. But the good news is, and we've read on this before, actually, new battery technology is coming that won't need rare earth metals like lithium or cobalt. So there's new battery technology. Some of it's ferrite and iron based,
Uh-huh.
but new battery technology and graphene technology. And yeah, so that's all coming. And graphene technology contains massive amounts of energy with something the size of a postage stamp. So it's
Wow,
very, very small, high energy. Yeah.
that sounds great.
Mhm.
Um, then the second question is, more women are seeking sterilization and some doctors are refusing this medical treatment. Will the fight for new rights to autonomy for women address this issue?
100%. It'll all be part of autonomy for women and managing your own health care. And absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also see, there was something in the press this week about women that had problems with pregnancy where maybe a fetus had died and then getting what's called, I guess, a DNC procedure. I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor, but anyway, all this is going to be covered under the rights for women. It's all going to be covered. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I was 38 years old on a personal note
Hmm.
when I asked for a tubal, for it to be sterilized. So you can
Hmm.
reverse tubal ligations. So
Hmm.
I was refused. The doctor said I was still too young. And I
Hmm.
thought he was crazy. You know, I had a daughter who I had when I was 21, and I was not looking towards having any other children. And then, later in life, I had at 39, I had Jacob, and 42, I had Jeffrey. But
Hmm.
but they refused me back then.
Yeah.
You're too
Well,
young.
yeah, I really do see, within 18 months here, it's going to happen a little faster. But when the Supreme Court gets re-leveled, a lot of these rights are going to come back
Oh yeah. Oh
to
yeah.
women. And I do see there'll be amendments to the Constitution, and we'll get the right number of states to ratify those amendments. Yeah.
With all the chaos and focus on enemies within the US, do you see any attacks on the US from outside countries? I would say near future.
Yeah, I do see some within 10 years, within a decade. So we're going to have some problems with Russia and the Middle East. There'll be some flare-ups in some major cities. There will be, but it'll all be containable. So I do see but it looks like they're telling me like in 10 years. So we don't have to worry about it in the near
Yeah, and
term.
also we're going to be dealing with a lot of Armageddon Earth stuff.
Hmm.
So we don't have time for all that business. Will Rand Paul and Marco Rubio lose their Senate seats?
Yeah, it looks that way to me. We talked about that earlier in the show regarding Marco
Marco
Rubio.
Rubio is
Yeah.
losing to Val Demings.
And Rand Paul, it's interesting there for entertainment purposes only. It feels like, he almost makes it over the finish line because of some cheating, but then, he loses.
Oh,
So he
good.
almost gets up close to the finish line, looks like he's going to win. And then some cheating factor comes out and he loses 100,000 votes or something. Yeah. So it looks like they
Okay.
both are lose. Yeah.
Yay. Will Trump run in the primaries?
Yeah, well, I do get he's going to try to make an announcement very shortly, but it'll be a short-lived. Well, he's not going to make it to the end goal, right? He's not going to be the GOP selected candidate. He's certainly not going to be president again, but he's going to make a run for it, only for all the money, right? So all the
Yes.
donations and
And trying to keep being arrested.
right.
So I don't see DeSatan as our next president. Do you?
No, not
No.
at all. No.
Because yes, he was on the news and he was talking about, Biden forced people to get he was against Gavin Newsom. He forced California to shut down and he did this and telling our teachers union what to do. He's telling the teachers union what to do. They are short
Right.
9,000 teachers right now because
Yeah.
of him. Disneyland doesn't like him. They're not going to announce it, but under the table, I think they would pour money into anybody else running against him.
Yeah, but I
And
think the question you're asking was DeSantis going to be present? Was that the question you're asking? Yeah, no, I
yes,
don't see that. Yeah.
but he may run. He may
Oh, I
run.
think he's definitely no. He will definitely run along with a couple of other people we saw earlier when this question came up. Yeah, he'll definitely make a run for it.
Now, what about will he win as governor again?
Every time this question comes up, I get a more moderate Republican winning, not him.
Okay.
Now, it's interesting. Last time this came up, somebody brought it to my attention that somebody, was it Rick Scott or somebody? I don't know. Somebody moved from Republican to Democrat and is going to run in the state. Wow. I forget. I sorry, I don't remember the name, but somebody said maybe that's the moderate Republican that my guides had seen. So more moderate Republican winning, and it could be the one that
I think she's a Democrat, Nikki Fry or Nikki something. She's running against him. Mm-hmm. But anyway, okay. The main thing is, even if he gets to run, he's not going to, because his ideas are just as bad as Trump.
They are.
It's his way or the highway, and he, that a lot of people died in Florida because he was totally anti. He yelled at those little kids for for having a mask on. He's a bully.
By the way, if you look at the pandemic, COVID, the rates of now infection and hospitalizations are extremely high all across Florida. If you look at the map, now they're high in many areas of the U.S., but Florida, I just happen to notice, is almost solid red. So interesting.
Yeah, because nobody can tell me what to do, and they were trying to tell our poor teachers union, you were 9,000 short because you were telling them they couldn't read about this, they couldn't have the books they wanted. The parents can tell them what to do. Oh yeah, I wouldn't work in Florida either.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
So I just listened to a well-known remote viewer. He viewed the year 2060 and everything we would like to see happen. We would like to see happen in healthcare, housing, agriculture, and transportation pretty much has happened with the acceptance of our country. He stated that something culturally happens during the period of 2040, 2045 that changes our culture greatly by 2060. Interesting.
So every time I look at this, my team always tells me it's actually the years 2020 to 2050. So 30-year span, major developments in a reset of the world, but it includes things like time travel and understanding wormhole travel and space travel to other galaxies.
Yeah.
Universal healthcare, but also even CRISPR technology that helps double the lifespan of people.
Awesome.
So there are many advancements coming in this 3-decade period. So I guess the way this person asked the question, I never see it as confined to a 5-year period. There's actually an evolution during this 3 decades here. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Okay, can your guys tell us what happens these 5 years to really? So it's basically the same thing. Can you guys tell us what happens during these 5 years to really change the U.S.?
Oh, so I think we just answered that. Yeah, it's not. By the way, something interesting. Remember a long time ago, I think we approached the year 2000. I'm going from memory here. The Mayan calendar ended, right? Remember, I was talking about the Mayan calendar.
And they thought it was the end of the world.
End of the world. My guides always told me, and I used to tell this to Linda, I said, my guides are coming at the end. They said, we're getting very close to the time when we understand time travel and time becomes nonlinear. So that was the end of I just got a cold chill. That was the end of the linear calendar. And now we're going to get into a phase here where time travel and nonlinear time is available. So that's what my guides always said. And I think it's actually coming to fruition here in the next 3 decades.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Do you see anything coming up next week?
I do. We touched on some of it during the show, but I see, Biden getting much better through COVID. I see much greater progress on retrieving texts out of the cloud for the Secret Service.
Okay.
I see new monkeypox vaccines aggressively starting to get developed. There's going to be a plan underway here to make sure it doesn't become a major pandemic. And I do see more states now jumping on like the California bandwagon for assault weapons. Okay. So just like Gavin Newsom, they just passed an AR-15 ban or something of that nature. I see more states jumping on the bandwagon for that. Yeah, it's coming.
Well, the police department doesn't want people walking around with an AR-15. They do not want that. They were showing in Texas people standing in line at KFC or something. These little tiny women with an AR-15 behind them that is as big as them. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody comes in armed, you're gone, because by the time you try to get that gun out and point it and everything, you're gone.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I've always said, people, there has to be a rationale in all gun policy. an all weapons policy because you can't own a bazooka and you can't own an M1 tank. So where's the line? Where do you draw the line? You know, when the founding fathers put that in our Constitution, right? They had muskets.
They had muskets,
They didn't
yeah.
have bazookas.
And like I told everybody, the actual bullet wasn't developed until 1840 something. So,
Yeah.
you know, bullets, you can't say that's my God-given right because those weren't even developed to the 1800s.
Very true.
So let me ask something before we go on our last question. I don't know why I'm flashing on, when I asked you what's happening next week, I had a flash on Liz Cheney. Have you been getting any hits on her?
Lots of hits. I mean, lots of good hits and many different types of hits. So I don't know. Are you asking the question of me,
I'm
or
just
you want to
asking,
share?
could she possibly win her seat back?
No, I don't see that at all, unfortunately.
Okay.
However, she's on to much bigger and better things, which I saw immediately. The Biden administration a big welcome to her, and it could be initially like an ambassadorship to some major country or something.
Yep, that's
so they're going to welcome her right back in. Go out that door, Liz. Come right back in this door.
Yeah,
so
you're welcome.
And she will be a contender at some point down the road for president. She'll actually run for president. So, really good things for her coming. Yeah, but I don't see her. I know
she's out. She's getting tons of money, but I just don't see the numbers.
Yeah, and actually, months and months ago, this question came up on something I did, and I said I just don't see her winning the seat. But that's okay.
I feel bad when I say no, but I feel bad about. I just don't. But I don't think she's even. She kind of knows, and she's not worried about it.
But you know what they always say, right? When one door closes, a window opens. So it's really what's going on here. Yeah, much better opportunity. Yeah.
So, do you have anything your guides want to share?
They do. A simple message: be creative, kind of in the way you approach your life. So you open up that creative mind channel, the channel that controls imagination, because where creativity flows from is where a lot of the information from the universe flows from. So that creative mind center opens up a lot of opportunity in the way you can help lead your life. So the simple message: open up the creative mind center and be more innovative, creative the way you approach your life, and it'll work out much better.
Awesome. Great message. Well, thank you, my friend. And how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, absolutely. Just go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. It's very straightforward from there.
I still get a lot of people that write me and say, oh my God, Sterling was so good.
And somebody I read last week or the week before, I think, was going to your not your offsite, but you had the thing at Angel Heart. You had a meet and greet at Angel Heart or something.
Yeah, it's already sold out. So
okay. Yeah.
Sold out like in a day.
Oh, good for you. That's fun. A lot of fun. Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for viewing, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
We will. Take care.